And here we are finishing up our test review with a look at the Masque of the Red Death and how that relates to plot. So reviewing plot again, we start with the exposition, which is the part of the plot that introduces setting. Okay? Inciting incident introduces the conflict. Rising action builds up to the climax. Climax is the hero's darkest hour. Falling action is the events that wind down to the resolution. And resolution is the part of the plot where conflict is resolved. We did some plotting with Masque of the Red Death, but if you don't remember that story from last week, 1, give it a quick reread before the test tomorrow, and 2, listen to this. The exposition starts with talking about the plague of the Red Death and how horrible it is. Then we had the inciting incident where Prince Prospero tries to beat death by hiding in his castle. Rising action is where he's throwing a party with his buddies, and the clock keeps chiming, and it's a total buzzkill, but as soon as it stops, they go back to partying strong. Then we climax at midnight when the Red Death mummer, the costume dude, turns up, and everybody's like, oh, bad form, yo. We go into falling action where Prince Prospero, our tragic hero, gets all het up and goes after this Red Death mummer to try and kill him, but instead, he bites the dust. And we wind down into resolution where the mummer turns out to be the real Red Death and everybody dies. They all fall down. So now we want to do some practice questions where we have the Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of the blood. There were sharp pains and sudden dizziness, then profuse bleeding at the pores with dissolution. The scarlet stains upon the body and especially upon the face of the victim were the pest ban which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow man. And the whole seizure, progress and termination of the disease were the incidents of half an hour. So this plague shows up, it makes people bleed, it makes them hurt, it makes them dizzy, and everybody's like, ah, no, cooties, get away. And in half an hour, they're dead. Test-taking strategy should be process of elimination. You know this isn't the hero's darkest hour. We don't really know what the conflict is yet. Rising action is a possibility, but since they're introducing the story and its setting, exposition is the result that you want. Remember the songs that you put on the review activity last week. If you remember them and why you picked them, you will be able to recognize which passage goes in what order to do these practice questions. And that is the end of our review. Finish your practice questions and turn in your practice test. Study for that final.